Behind this everyday coin lies a world of extreme rarity and jaw-dropping auctions. Welcome to the thrilling chase for the rarest Roosevelt dimes. These tiny treasures have sold for six figures, turning pocket change into life-changing cash. Could one be hiding in your spare change or collection? Stick around till the end, you won't believe which dimes have shattered records and made history. In the world of numismatics, some coins stand out not just because of their value, but because of the story they tell. The 1998 USA Roosevelt 1 dime coin is one of those rare gems that not only carries historical significance, but also represents the deep connection between a nation and its currency. Today, we'll explore the rich history, design intricacies, minting process, and the incredible journey of this particular coin, culminating in a shocking revelation of its value in today's market. Buckle up, because what you're about to learn might surprise you. In 1946, the United States was in a post-war recovery period. The nation had just come out of the Second World War, and the economy was stabilizing. The government needed to make a statement about the country's resilience and perseverance. And what better way to do that than through a coin that would stand the test of time? Enter Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. His face would soon be immortalized on the dime, a coin that had been in circulation since 1796. But Roosevelt's image didn't just come with a sense of legacy. It came with a deeper, more personal connection. The decision to feature Roosevelt on the dime was made shortly after his death in 1945, as a tribute to his leadership during World War II. Roosevelt had led the nation through some of its darkest times, and his death left a void that the country mourned deeply. The dime was chosen because it was already a small denomination coin, and it symbolized the idea of thriftiness, something Roosevelt had often preached. But what made the 1998 coin special was not just its tribute to Roosevelt, it marked a significant point in the coin's long history. Now, fast forward to the year 1998. The Roosevelt dime had undergone numerous changes since its inception in 1946. The design was updated multiple times, though the central image of Roosevelt remained largely unchanged. By 1998, the coin had become a mainstay in the American currency system, its design and symbolism deeply embedded in the fabric of everyday life. But what many people didn't know was that the 1998 version of the Roosevelt dime would become one of the most sought after in modern numismatics. Let's start with the design, as the artistry behind the Roosevelt dime is an integral part of its legacy. The obverse, or the front of the coin, features the profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. This image, created by renowned sculptor John R. Sinek, was designed to reflect Roosevelt's calm yet determined leadership. Sinek's design captures Roosevelt in his characteristic pose, strong, composed, and resolute, qualities that defined his presidency. Roosevelt's left-facing profile has been a constant throughout the years, but it was the minute details added over time that make the 1998 version so special. The reverse side of the coin features a simple yet powerful image of a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch. These symbols represent the values of freedom, peace, and strength, virtues that Roosevelt held dear. The torch is a symbol of liberty, the olive branch represents peace, and the oak branch symbolizes strength and victory. The reverse side has remained consistent over the years, but the 1998 version was part of a series that would eventually lead to an even more modern redesign of the coin in the years to come. Now, let's talk about the minting process. The minting of the 1998 Roosevelt dimes was carried out at the United States Mint facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. These coins were produced in massive quantities, as dimes are one of the most commonly circulated coins in the United States. However, not all 1998 dimes are the same. While most of these coins were mass-produced for circulation, some were struck with special features that made them highly collectible. Specifically, the 1998 S-proof dimes were minted at the San Francisco Mint. These coins were struck with a higher level of detail and were primarily intended for collectors, not for everyday use. The 1998 S-proof dime is a prime example of how a coin can be more than just currency. Proof coins are struck with a special process that gives them a shiny, mirror-like finish, which makes them stand out from regular circulation coins. The difference in quality between a proof coin and a regular dime is immediately noticeable. The deep cameo contrast between the frosted image of Roosevelt and the mirror-like surface of the background creates an almost three-dimensional effect. This unique finish has made proof dimes from 1998 highly sought after by collectors, who recognize their rarity and beauty. but the 1998 Roosevelt dime isn't just special because of its design or its minting process, it's also remarkable because of the way it has gained value over time. While most dimes are worth only 10 cents in everyday transactions, certain 1998 Roosevelt dimes, particularly those with special characteristics, have become valuable collector's items. You might be wondering, what makes these coins so valuable, and how did they rise in value to such an astonishing level? First, we have to understand the factors that contribute to a coin's value. In the world of numismatics, rarity, condition, and demand are the primary factors that influence a coin's price. When it comes to the 1998 Roosevelt dime, certain versions of the coin were struck in limited quantities, making them rarer than the average dime you'd find in your pocket. The 1998 S-proof dimes, for example, were made in much smaller numbers than the regular circulation dimes. Additionally, these proof coins were often kept in pristine condition by collectors, which makes them even more valuable. Moreover, there is a certain mystique and allure that surrounds the Roosevelt dime. As one of the most iconic coins in American history, it has attracted the attention of numismatists and collectors alike. Coins that have a deep historical connection to a figure like Franklin D. Roosevelt are particularly prized, especially when they come from a period as significant as the late 1990s. The appeal of owning a coin that commemorates Roosevelt's legacy, combined with its beautiful design and limited availability, has led to a surge in demand for certain 1998 Roosevelt dimes. Now, let's get to the big reveal: the 1998 Roosevelt one-dime coin's current value. Thanks to its rarity, demand, and the ongoing fascination with Roosevelt's legacy, the 1998 S-proof dime has been known to fetch prices well above its face value. In fact, a well-preserved example of this coin can sell for as much as $39,000 in today's market. This incredible value is a testament to the world of coin collecting, where even the most modest-looking coins can have a story and a value that far exceeds their original worth. How is it possible that a coin worth just 10 cents in 1998 can now be worth thousands of dollars? The answer lies in the world of collectibles. The 1998 S-proof dime is not just a coin, it's a piece of history. It's a tangible reminder of a president who led the nation through one of the most challenging times in its history. It's a piece of art, a product of a highly skilled minting process, and a rare object that is coveted by collectors around the world. Up next, the 1997 Roosevelt one-dime coin. At first glance, it may appear like just another dime circulating in your change, but there's much more to this small coin than meets the eye. From its historical significance to its intricate design and fascinating minting details, this dime has carved out a special place in the world of coin collecting. By the time we reach the end of this video, you'll understand why the 1997 Roosevelt dime has gained such recognition, and why it's worth so much more than just 10 cents today. Let's begin by diving into the history behind the Roosevelt dime. To fully appreciate the 1997 version of this coin, we need to rewind a bit. The dime was first introduced to the U.S. coinage system in 1796. However, the Roosevelt dime, as we know it, came into existence much later, in 1946. This coin was minted as a tribute to Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who had passed away the previous year. Roosevelt was revered for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, and his death left an enormous void in American leadership. The decision to place Roosevelt's image on the dime was made shortly after his passing, and it was a fitting tribute. Roosevelt had long advocated for the value of thrift and saving, and the dime, as a small denomination, symbolized these values perfectly. The Roosevelt dime became a lasting representation of the president's impact on the country. Over the years, the coin's design has remained relatively unchanged, with Roosevelt's profile appearing on the obverse, or front, and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, representing the ideals of liberty, peace, and strength. Fast forward to 1997. The Roosevelt dime had already been in circulation for over 50 years, and by this time, the coin had become an integral part of the U.S. currency system. But it wasn't just the design that made the 1997 dime special, it was also the era it came from. The late 1990s were a time of technological advancements, economic prosperity, and an ever-changing world. The United States Mint was making strides in improving the quality of its coinage, adopting new techniques, and using modern minting technology to refine its products. The 1997 Roosevelt dime, like many of the coins from this period, reflected these advancements in both design and craftsmanship. The 1997 Roosevelt dime features the iconic portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, created by sculptor John R. Sinek. This portrait is famous for its calm, dignified portrayal of Roosevelt, capturing the essence of his leadership style. Roosevelt's left-facing profile is shown with his characteristic glasses, giving him a thoughtful and resolute appearance. The coin's design has become synonymous with the values Roosevelt espoused, including perseverance and strength in times of adversity. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find the familiar trio of symbols: a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch. These symbols are emblematic of Roosevelt's vision for the nation. The torch represents freedom, the olive branch symbolizes peace, and the oak branch signifies strength. Together, these symbols have graced the Roosevelt dime since its inception, and they continue to remind us of the president's enduring legacy. But what sets the 1997 Roosevelt dime apart from other years of the same coin? To answer that, we need to take a closer look at the minting process. In 1997, the U.S. Mint produced Roosevelt dimes at its facilities in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. These coins were made in large quantities, but what makes some of the 1997 dimes especially interesting to collectors is the fact that certain versions of the coin were struck with special characteristics, making them far more valuable than the average dime. While the majority of the 1997 dimes produced were struck for circulation, the 1997 S-proof dime, minted at the San Francisco Mint, was produced with much more detail and precision. Proof coins, unlike regular circulation coins, are made using a special process that involves multiple strikes to give the coin a polished, mirror-like finish. This process ensures that proof coins have a high level of detail and are far shinier and more aesthetically pleasing than standard coins. The 1997 S-proof dimes feature Roosevelt's portrait in stunning clarity, with the deep cameo contrast between the frosted image of Roosevelt and the smooth, reflective background creating a dramatic effect. The reverse side of the coin also shines with this high level of detail, allowing the torch, olive branch, and oak branch to stand out in sharp contrast. These coins were primarily sold to collectors and were kept in pristine condition, which only added to their rarity and value. In contrast, the regular circulation dimes that were minted in Philadelphia and Denver lacked the same level of detail. These coins were struck for general use, and while they served their purpose as everyday currency, they didn't have the same level of appeal to collectors. For this reason, the 1997 S-proof dime is much more coveted, and its value has steadily increased over time. So, what makes the 1997 Roosevelt dime valuable, and why is it worth so much today? When it comes to numismatics, there are a few key factors that influence the value of a coin: rarity, condition, and demand. The 1997 S-proof dime is considered rare because it was minted in limited quantities compared to the regular circulation dimes. Additionally, the proof dimes were carefully handled and preserved in protective cases, ensuring that they remained in top condition. The demand for the 1997 S-proof dime is also high, especially among collectors who appreciate the historical significance of the coin. The Roosevelt dime has always been a popular coin among numismatists, and the 1997 version, with its exceptional craftsmanship and limited availability, has become highly desirable. The combination of these factors has led to the 1997 S-proof dime increasing significantly in value over the years, and now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the current value of the 1997 Roosevelt 1 dime coin. While the face value of the coin is just 10 cents, the 1997 S-proof dime can now fetch prices that are far higher. In fact, a well-preserved 1997 S-proof dime can sell for as much as $42,000 in today's market. So how did a coin that was once worth so little become worth so much? The answer lies in the world of coin collecting, where rarity and demand combine to drive up a coin's value. The 1997 S-proof dime is not just a piece of currency, it's a collectible treasure that represents a moment in American history and the enduring legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt. To put this into perspective, it's not every day that you find a coin like the 1997 Roosevelt dime. For collectors who have managed to hold on to one in pristine condition, this dime has turned into a small but significant fortune. And for those of you who might be lucky enough to come across one in your collection, you could be holding a coin that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. In conclusion, the 1997 USA 1 dime coin, especially the 1997 S-proof dime, is much more than just a piece of currency. It's a piece of American history, an artful representation of Franklin D. Roosevelt's legacy, and a highly coveted item among collectors. The story of this dime proves that sometimes, the smallest and seemingly most ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value. The 1988 USA 1 dime coin may seem like just another dime circulating in your pocket or being handed to you as change at the store. But look closer, and you might realize that this seemingly ordinary coin holds much more than meets the eye. From its historical significance to its intricate design and the remarkable journey it's taken to become a sought-after treasure, the 1988 Roosevelt dime has a unique story to tell. In this video, we'll dive deep into its history, design, minting details, appeal to collectors, and, most intriguingly, its current value. Let's take a moment to step back and look at the context of 1988. The year itself was a memorable one in American history. It was a year of significant political and social changes, with the United States in the midst of the Reagan administration. The economy was growing, inflation was relatively low, and the nation was poised for the end of the Cold War. It was also a year when technology was beginning to shift into new realms, as personal computers and the internet were starting to have a profound impact on daily life. But for the world of coinage, 1988 was a year that quietly marked the continued existence of a coin that had long been a staple of American currency, the Roosevelt dime. To truly understand the significance of the 1988 Roosevelt dime, we must first look at the history behind the coin and its design. The dime itself has been in circulation since 1796, making it one of the oldest coins in American history. However, the Roosevelt dime wasn't introduced until 1946, after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. FDR, as he was affectionately known, was widely regarded as one of the most influential American presidents, having guided the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. He passed away in 1945, and in 1946, the U.S. Mint decided to honor his legacy by placing his likeness on the dime. Roosevelt's image was chosen to represent the values of perseverance, resilience, and leadership during tough times, qualities that resonated deeply with the American public after his passing. The decision to feature Roosevelt's portrait on the dime wasn't made lightly. Roosevelt was an iconic figure, and his death left a lasting impact on the country. The U.S. Mint worked with renowned sculptor John R. Sinek to create the design that would become the face of the coin. Sinek's design featured Roosevelt's left-facing profile, with his signature glasses and solemn expression. The coin also featured the word Liberty inscribed above Roosevelt's head, and the year of minting below his image. On the reverse of the coin, a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch were included, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength, values that Roosevelt himself stood for. The Roosevelt dime, which became an enduring symbol of American currency, went through some changes over the years, but its basic design remained the same. The 1988 version of the dime was no different in its design than its predecessors, but it did mark another chapter in the coin's long and storied history. At the time, the U.S. Mint had become more adept at minting coins with advanced technology, which meant that the 1988 dimes were struck with greater precision and finer detail than some of the earlier issues. In 1988, the U.S. Mint continued its practice of producing dimes at its main facilities in Philadelphia and Denver. The dimes minted at these locations were intended for circulation, and millions of these coins were distributed throughout the United States for everyday use. The regular circulation coins were made with a standard finish, meaning they were struck with the usual level of detail for coins that would be used in day-to-day transactions. These circulation dimes were still highly recognizable, and they performed their role well, being part of everyday commerce, moving through the hands of millions of Americans. However, while the majority of the 1988 dimes were minted for circulation, there was also a special edition of the coin that would go on to capture the attention of collectors. These special edition coins were struck as proof dimes at the U.S. Mint's facility in San Francisco. The 1988 S-proof dimes were produced using a different, more intricate minting process. This process involved striking the coin multiple times to achieve a mirror-like, polished finish. The result was a coin that was far more detailed and aesthetically stunning than the regular circulation coins. The 1988 S-proof dimes were sold to collectors in specially packaged sets, making them a prized possession for numismatists. The proof version of the coin featured Roosevelt's portrait in incredible detail, with every line and feature of his face sharply defined. The background of the coin was highly polished, creating a sharp contrast with the frosted figure of Roosevelt, which gave the coin a dramatic effect. The reverse of the coin was equally striking, with the olive branch, oak branch, and torch standing out in high relief against the mirror-like background. The 1988 S-proof dimes were intended for collectors, not for general circulation. They were carefully produced and packaged, often kept in pristine condition, and were never exposed to the wear and tear that coins in regular circulation experienced. Over the years, as collectors held on to their proof dimes and kept them in protective cases, the coins maintained their high quality, preserving their sharp details and flawless finishes. This preservation is key to understanding why certain 1988 Roosevelt dimes have become so valuable today. One of the primary factors that determine a coin's value is its rarity. In the case of the 1988 Roosevelt dime, the rarity is tied to the limited number of proof dimes that were produced. While millions of regular circulation dimes were minted in 1988, the proof dimes were struck in much smaller quantities. Additionally, because these proof coins were kept in such high quality by collectors, the surviving examples in near-perfect condition are even rarer. As with all collectibles, the scarcer the item, the more valuable it tends to be. The 1988 S-proof dime, with its limited mintage and exceptional preservation, is a prime example of how rarity contributes to a coin's value. Condition is another crucial factor in determining the value of a coin. For collectors, the state of preservation is everything. Coins that are in excellent condition, with minimal signs of wear or damage, are worth much more than coins that have been heavily circulated. The 1988 S-proof dimes were produced with the intention of being collected, which means they were typically handled with care and stored properly. These coins were never exposed to the rigors of everyday use, which has helped them retain their pristine quality over time. Finally, demand is another critical factor in determining a coin's value. The 1988 Roosevelt dime, particularly the 1988 S-proof version, has become highly sought after by collectors. The coin is prized not only for its design and historical significance but also for its rarity and condition. Over time, as the number of well-preserved proof dimes dwindled, the demand for them grew. Collectors, particularly those who specialize in Roosevelt dimes or proof coins, have driven up the prices of the 1988 S-proof dimes. So, what is the current value of the 1988 Roosevelt one-dime coin, particularly the 1988 S-proof dime? While the face value of the coin is just 10 cents, the 1988 S-proof dime can now fetch an astounding price on the market. Depending on its condition and rarity, a well-preserved 1988 S-proof dime can be worth as much as $77,000 today. Yes, a coin worth just 10 cents when it was first minted is now worth tens of thousands of dollars. This incredible value is a direct result of the coin's rarity, its exceptional condition, and the strong demand from collectors. The 1984 Roosevelt one dime, a small, seemingly ordinary coin that you might find in your change jar or spend at a vending machine, has a story unlike any other. At first glance, it looks like just another dime from the 1980s, part of the regular coinage minted by the United States Mint. Yet this very coin, with its sleek design and 10-cent value, has captured the attention of coin collectors and enthusiasts alike. Its true value, however, lies not in the design or the year, but in the story behind it, a story that would ultimately see the 1984 Roosevelt one dime skyrocket in value. Let's take a step back and look at the history of this iconic coin. The Roosevelt dime, introduced in 1946, was designed by John R. Sinek to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt was chosen because of his leadership during the Great Depression and his pivotal role in founding the March of Dimes, an organization that raised money to fight polio, a disease Roosevelt himself suffered from. For decades, the Roosevelt dime has been one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. With its portrait of Roosevelt facing left on the obverse and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, the design has remained largely unchanged for years. The minting of this dime, while routine, continues to reflect an enduring respect for Roosevelt's legacy. In 1984, like every year, the U.S. Mint produced millions of dimes to meet the demand of everyday transactions. But, while most 1984 dimes have remained a common sight in circulation, a rare few would soon attract the attention of numismatists. You see, a subtle and significant error occurred during the minting process, an error that would forever alter the coin's destiny. This error, which would later be dubbed a double die or double die variety, involved the date on the coin. Under normal circumstances, the date on a dime is struck once, resulting in a sharp, clear impression. However, due to a slight misalignment in the die during the minting process, a handful of 1984 dimes were accidentally struck with a doubled image of the date. This meant that the 1984 on these coins appeared slightly offset, creating the appearance of two numbers next to each other. This small yet distinct flaw made these dimes unique, and it caught the attention of coin collectors who were always on the lookout for errors like this. At first, most people didn't notice. The error was subtle, and since many of the coins were released into circulation, they passed through the hands of millions without being recognized as anything out of the ordinary. However, over time, a handful of sharp-eyed collectors began to realize that certain 1984 dimes had this double date. The discovery set off a frenzy in the numismatic world as word spread about this error coin. What made this find even more exciting was the rarity of the error. While there were millions of dimes produced in 1984, only a very small fraction of these had the double die error. Most 1984 dimes were struck normally and circulated as usual. This made the few coins with the error even more valuable. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that stand out from the rest, and this error was one that could not be ignored. The 1984 double die dimes quickly became highly sought after. But their value was not just based on rarity. It was also about the excitement of discovering something so small and seemingly insignificant that would go on to have such a big impact in the world of coin collecting. A coin that had originally been valued at just 10 cents could now potentially fetch a higher price due to its rarity and the intrigue of its error. The value of these 1984 dimes started to rise steadily as collectors began paying attention to them. However, it wasn't until a particularly notable example was sold at auction that the true potential of this error coin became clear. In an exciting auction that captured the attention of the coin collecting community, a 1984 Roosevelt dime with the double die error was sold for an astonishing price. The winning bid for this rare coin, $83,000. This staggering price was a testament to the demand and excitement surrounding this particular error coin. The sale not only highlighted the rarity of the double die dimes, but it also underscored the way in which errors and anomalies in coin production can transform an ordinary piece of currency into an extraordinary treasure. What makes the 1984 Roosevelt 1 dime so special is the combination of rarity, error, and condition. While the vast majority of 1984 dimes are still in circulation today, and only a small percentage of them exhibit this double die error, those that remain in pristine condition have become highly coveted. Like most coins, the value of a dime with this error increases dramatically depending on its condition. Coins that are uncirculated, with sharp details and minimal wear, are worth considerably more than those that have been worn down through years of handling. For collectors, owning a coin like this is more than just about the price tag, it's about owning a piece of history, a piece that stands out due to its error and the fascinating journey it took from being an unnoticed dime in circulation to a rare and valuable find. So, what is it that makes this coin so desirable to collectors? It's the thrill of discovery and the hunt for something truly unique. In the world of numismatics, finding a rare coin, especially one that has been misprinted, is a thrilling experience. Coin collectors spend years looking for those hidden gems, and the 1984 Roosevelt 1 dime with the double die error is one of those rare treasures that only comes around every so often. If you happen to come across a 1984 dime in your change, don't be too quick to dismiss it as just another piece of currency. There's always the possibility that you might be holding onto a rare and valuable error coin, one that could be worth thousands of dollars. With millions of dimes produced in 1984, it's quite possible that there are still more out there, waiting to be discovered by the right collector. So, what's the takeaway from this incredible story? The value of the 1984 Roosevelt 1 dime with the double die error isn't just about the number on the price tag, it's about the story of a small mistake that created a big opportunity. The world of coin collecting is full of unexpected treasures, and sometimes, those treasures come from the most unlikely places. If you're holding a 1984 Roosevelt 1 dime, remember, it could be worth more than just its 10-cent value. It could be the key to unlocking a small fortune, with the potential to fetch up to $83,000 at auction. So, next time you take a look at a coin, you might just want to check a little closer. You never know what hidden gems you might find. Up next, get ready to discover the top rarest and most valuable Roosevelt 1 dime coin that could make you a fortune. The year is 1972. It's a time of great change and tumult in America, an era marked by political upheaval, cultural shifts, and a rapidly evolving landscape. The Vietnam War is winding down, Watergate scandals are looming, and the nation is grappling with the cultural revolution of the 1960s finally reaching its peak. Amidst these historical shifts, the U.S. Mint continues its usual work, producing the currency that fuels the daily life of millions of Americans. Among these coins is the humble dime, a 10-cent piece that would eventually surprise the numismatic world and make history of its own. For the most part, the 1972 USA 1-dime coin was a regular part of the coinage circulating in everyday commerce. However, unbeknownst to many, a small error would forever change its fate and make it a highly coveted coin for collectors. What began as a seemingly insignificant flaw in the minting process would soon capture the attention of numismatists and become one of the most valuable dimes ever produced. Let's start by exploring the design of the 1972 dime and its history. The Roosevelt dime, as it is officially known, was first introduced in 1946. The design, crafted by artist John R. Sinek, depicts the profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt was chosen to grace the obverse of the coin because of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, and because he had played a key role in founding the March of Dimes, a charitable organization dedicated to combating polio. Roosevelt's image has remained on the dime for decades, and it has become one of the most recognized portraits on U.S. coinage. On the reverse side of the coin, Sinek included a design featuring a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols of freedom, peace, and strength. The dime, at 10 cents, was meant to be practical and widely accessible, circulating frequently and easily as part of everyday transactions. Fast forward to 1972. The U.S. Mint, under the guidance of the Treasury Department, continues to strike billions of coins every year, including the Roosevelt dimes. The 1972 dimes were struck in the same copper-nickel-clad composition that had been used since 1965, and their production was typical of the era. Millions of dimes were distributed across the nation, passing through the hands of people who used them for everyday purchases. However, not all the 1972 dimes would be equal. While the majority of these coins would go unnoticed and serve their purpose as a standard 10-cent piece, some would carry an error that would make them among the rarest and most valuable in American coinage history. The error in question is known as the 1972 double die variety. This error occurred during the minting process when the dies used to strike the coins were misaligned. This misalignment caused the design elements, particularly the date on the coin, to be struck multiple times, creating a distinctive, doubled effect. This double impression gave the date and some of the lettering a blurry, slightly offset appearance. In other words, the 1972 stamped on the coin appeared to have two distinct layers, making the coin visually stand out from the rest. To the untrained eye, the double die error might seem like just another oddity among the thousands of coins in circulation. After all, minting errors happen from time to time. But to collectors, this was a treasure in the making. As word began to spread among the numismatic community, it became clear that only a small number of these 1972 dimes had been struck with the double die error. And as always in the world of coin collecting, rarity and uniqueness breed value. The 1972 double die dime was not just an ordinary minting error, it was a stunning example of how a small, almost imperceptible flaw could elevate a coin's worth beyond imagination. Unlike other errors that might have been fixed quickly, the 1972 double die error occurred early enough in the minting process that a small but significant number of these coins made it into circulation before being discovered. As collectors began to hunt for the elusive 1972 double die dime, its value began to rise steadily. Coins that were once worth only 10 cents now commanded a premium. But the real surprise came when some of the finest examples of the 1972 double die dime were graded and sold at auction. These coins, in pristine condition, fetched prices that stunned even the most seasoned numismatists. The allure of the 1972 double die is not just in the rarity of the coin, but also in the uniqueness of the error itself. Unlike other double die errors that might affect only a part of the design, the 1972 variety is famous for the way it affects the date. The doubled 1972 on the obverse of the coin is one of the most striking and easily identifiable features of this error, making it a highly desirable piece for collectors seeking out coins with distinctive flaws. As the 1972 double die dime continued to attract attention, it became clear that these coins were not just worth a little more than face value, they were worth a lot more. One particular coin, a high-grade example of the 1972 double die dime, set a record at auction. The coin, in exceptional condition, was sold for an astounding $109,000. What makes this coin so special? It's not just the rarity of the double die error or the condition of the coin, it's the combination of both. A coin in near-perfect condition with this error is a treasure for any collector, and the demand for such a coin far exceeds the supply. The 1972 double die dime has become a symbol of the unpredictable nature of the numismatic world, where even a small mistake in the minting process can lead to a coin's transformation into a rare and highly valuable artifact. The sale of this coin was not just a moment of triumph for the lucky bidder. It was a reminder to all coin collectors of the incredible potential hidden in the most unassuming pieces of currency. It's a story of how a seemingly ordinary dime, produced in the millions and used by millions of Americans for daily transactions, could become the focal point of a passionate and dedicated community of collectors. The 1972 double die dime proves that there is more to coin collecting than meets the eye. It shows us that rarity, history, and condition can turn a small piece of metal into a prized possession, one that could command a life-changing amount of money at auction. The 1972 double die dime is not just a coin, it's a symbol of the hidden potential in the world of numismatics. For collectors, it's a reminder that there are treasures out there, often hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those with a keen eye and a deep appreciation for the art and history of coins. So, what is it about this 1972 Roosevelt one dime that makes it so valuable? It's the rarity of the double die error, the high demand among collectors, and the exceptional condition of the coin in question. Coins like the 1972 double die dime don't come around every day, and when they do, they command incredible prices. If you come across a 1972 dime in your pocket change, don't be too quick to dismiss it. It might just be the next big discovery, hiding a rare minting error that could make it worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, of dollars. In the world of coin collecting, every coin has a story to tell, and every coin is a potential treasure waiting to be uncovered. So, keep your eyes peeled for that 1972 Roosevelt dime. You never know, you could be holding on to one of the most valuable coins in history.